Hello, guys, and welcome to the Good Morning Podcast or the GM Podcast, where I literally just talk about just things that happen, whether it be in my personal daily life or just crazy news that I just find interesting, or even things that you've probably never even heard of that for some reason weird things that I'm into. I just talk about it, basically. That's what this podcast is going to be. So, I want to give a little bit of intro to myself. So, my name is Harunota. I am 15 years old. I am of course, a full-time student, but I am a stock trader and a business owner. I'll leave a link to my company down below in case you want to check it out. But basically, that's what this podcast is going to be. Talking about just the everyday norm or the abnormal or the paranormal. Who knows if it'll ever get to that level. But I think the big thing I want to talk about, and this thing I found especially interesting as a stock trader, was Tesla. Now, Elon Musk has had a pretty crazy 3-4 years recently. Obviously, we saw Tesla grow in 2020, but then we saw a rapid decline because of their product quality. When your product's not good enough, it obviously will not sell or it will stop selling because they did have notoriety before. Now it's bad. Quality has been bad on all their cars, and it's recently because Elon Musk really just left Tesla to the dirt. He really wasn't focusing on his companies as much as he should have, in my opinion at least. But keep in mind, that's just my opinion. But one thing that was interesting, and it was very recently, literally 2 to 3 days ago, the whole Tesla shenanigans went on. Basically, they introduced a humanoid robot, and they introduced 2 cyber vehicles that are basically for taxis, literally eliminating Uber's job at this point. And he somehow managed to land another SpaceX rocket back down like he normally does. Now, starting off with the robot, which scares the hell out of me. Here's why. Because there's a movie that came out a long time ago, and it's called RoboCop. Now, RoboCop was this movie, not by Will Smith, but he was starring in it. Will Smith essentially is this guy who does not like robots at all because it saved his life instead of someone else's, and he wanted that other person's life to be saved. Okay, now he hates robots, but robots, at their time, which is way in the future, is like part of their daily life. Okay, now basically this is some RoboCop type stuff. This is scary. It talks like a human, it acts like a human, and it can do human things as similarly as possible. Now, I've always had this thought, and it was that construction and plumbing can never get replaced by robots because the conditions are just so harsh. And I still hold that true, but now that value, that thought of mine, goes down after seeing what they can do. It can start selling things in markets. It can just talk about anything. It's like ChatGPT, but a human. It's literally ChatGPT, but a human, which absolutely scares me because I think that's just going to hinder the world. Because when you have ChatGPT, right? I'm not saying ChatGPT is bad. I use ChatGPT literally every single day, whether it be for school, business, or just every day. I just love to use it. In fact, I have the ChatGPT 4, the paid version. But I think this is scary to me because you're in a world now where creativity has already been so limited. I mean, not to get political, but look at the recent artwork that's being done by people that's selling for millions. I think there's one where it's a bunch of paint buckets stacked together and they tip it over, and that's considered artwork nowadays. That's the creativity of humans nowadays. And now we have a literal humanoid figure or this robot that will think for you on the fly, that will do things for you. I mean, to me, I'm not saying I don't want to make this a dystopian world. Probably it honestly will. It's dystopian already. I don't want to make it sound even more negative, but this is some literally Ready Player One, not Ready Player One, but this is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to RoboCop, right? You have a world where these robots are going to start doing things for you, and that's just a scary world to me because it's going to eliminate the need for humans. That's the first thing that I find scary. Now, then you have the robo-taxi. I am a petrol head. I love gas cars, and I will forever want to drive a car. I mean, I'm 15, but I still haven't gotten my permit yet. But I think that these Tesla Cybercabs, though, they're an opportunity for a lot of people. Now, if you don't know, look it up, what they look like, so that you get an idea of what I'm talking about. They literally have no, driver seat. They don't have a steering wheel. There's no pedals, for you to accelerate or brake. It is fully autonomous. Now, These can be purchased for 30, 40, for like, what was it? I think it was 30 grand or something like that, which of course, by any modern car standard is probably a way better deal. I mean, we have average cars going for 45 now, right? But this I see people using as a business opportunity, because what people have been doing recently and what like these companies like Uber have been doing is that they've been investing in these companies that are self-driving, right? So, like I said, think about Uber. They take a small section out of every single driver, right? Let's say you drive someone for like $50 or $100. It's that expensive, unfortunately. They take obviously a small share of that. Now, it might be a little share, but if you look at the driving reports, like what generation is driving a lot, Gen Z is basically not driving at all. For some reason, Gen Z just decided we just don't want to drive. I'm the opposite. I want to drive everywhere I go. But I can see why, obviously. Now, when you combine all these factors together for Uber, right? Like, if I used to think about this a lot, how is Uber making money in the slightest? Uber should not be a profitable company, but here's why: because they take that small share. But here's what they're doing: they're thinking ahead. What they're doing is they're gonna use all this money, and they've been using this money to invest in these self-driving cars, so that when time comes, when these type of things come out, they just buy these cars. They literally just buy these cars. I mean, it's absolutely insane. And of course, you have to be really thinking ahead for this, right? You have to wait years and years and years for this to happen. And they did. And guess what? It's going to pay off for them. I think really the cybercab is a huge business opportunity. I think the robots is just a dystopian world waiting to happen. But I think SpaceX, honestly, I don't really have bad thoughts about SpaceX because it's not really dystopian to me. I think the only thing that I find strange about SpaceX is that, I mean, nothing strange. I mean, the thing that I find really, really cool about them is that they were able to get a rocket, go all the way in space, and come back down. Perfectly fine. I think that's a future that's utopian, robot, dystopian, cyber, unknown. I would say that's more in an opportunist section. Now, I know this episode was kind of messy. I mean, I had really no plan for what I was going to talk about. This literally just came out, so I was like, well, why not? Let's just go over it. But if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, follow, whatever you need to do to stay in touch, just do that. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments and I might get to them. All right? Have a good day. No, have a good morning. Have a good morning.